Hello everybody, and welcome to the Pixelogic ZBrush channel. I am Follygon, and tonight we're going to be sculpting, I think we're just going to be trying to work on a cartoony styled skull similar to this character here. This is something that kind of started out as a sketch for me, and I just kind of played with it a little bit in ZBrush. I'm not really sure where it's going to go or what I'm going to do with it. It was kind of just like a fun little thing to play around with, and I'll probably continue playing around with it for a little bit. It's kind of still like very unfinished. You can see some stuff like poking through, and a lot of this costume design isn't really figured out yet, as well as kind of the character design, but more or less just kind of playing around with shapes. Let me open up our chat for us so we can make sure that I can say hello to you guys. Holt and Benjamin, hello and welcome, guys. That's what my dad used to call me. My name is Ben as well. Benjamin. That's what he used to call me when I was a kid. Martin, welcome. How you doing? Everybody over on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, welcome everybody. Hope you guys are having a good night. But yeah, now that we got a couple more people in here, we'll give maybe a minute or two for some people to join us. And I'll explain again what we're going to be doing. But essentially, and I'll turn off that. So we are going to be creating a cartoon-styled skull similar to this one. But instead of a more of a human skull, I thought we would do a little bit more of an animal skull. Switch it up. So when you are trying to sculpt something that's stylized, I think a really good place to start is with realism. So I've kind of downloaded a couple images of or what I think is according to Google Images, a buffalo skull over here, and we are going to use those as a starting point to start creating our animal skull. And then once we get a little bit more of the silhouette and basic shape down, we'll probably hide those and continue on with developing our forms from there to try to find something that's interesting. But depending on how much time we have here at the end, we might work on a little something extra just as a little fun little thing at the end. We'll see how much time we have. But I should also mention real quick here at the beginning, this is going to be my last stream ever. No, not ever. Until the end of May. I'm going to be gone for the month of May, and I should be coming back after that. So for the next 4 weeks, I won't be streaming at my normal time here on Tuesdays, but I'll probably still be finding some time here and there to upload over on my YouTube channel, which is just youtube.com/Follygon, where I upload stuff all the time. Go check it out if you haven't already. There should be a link at the top of the screen, and if there's not, I should probably turn that on. Bam, there it is. There we go. Beautiful. And as well as, if you guys want to check out more of my work, you can always just check out my ArtStation. Just Google Follygon, you'll find all that. As well as my Gumroad with all my courses, tutorials, brushes, materials, etc., etc., etc. Check it out. I'd appreciate it. All right. I think that's enough stalling for you guys to come in and join us. Hello, everybody new that's joining us tonight. Kurt, what's going on, man? And Fred, how are you doing? Nice sculpt. Well, thank you, Fred. I appreciate it, man. It's very nice of you. So let's go ahead and start with something brand new here. I'll just grab a sphere 3D, make that a polymesh, and yeah, I think that will be enough to get us started. Cool. Okay, so when I am doing something like this, and I'm gonna try to keep things a little general tonight, but if you guys have any questions about any of the tools that I'm using or anything specific, if I go a little bit too fast, just let me know, and I'll take a step back and explain what I do. But I'm just going to start here with my move brush, really big form changes, and try to push and pull and move stuff around and try to find this silhouette and maybe something a little interesting here. So we'll just kind of play around here, and I'll activate Dynamesh here in just a little bit. So really nothing too crazy. That's how I like to keep it in the beginning. Nice and simple with just a move brush, and try to find some interesting shapes. I'm more so in the beginning here, kind of going off of what I'm seeing over in our references. But once we get some of the more basic shapes down, we'll kind of we'll kind of turn those off. But let's grab our transpose line and go crazy here. We'll probably try to find some places where we can exaggerate some of these shapes a bit more. I'm thinking one of those areas could be in how long this skull is. We'll play around with that probably a little bit. And maybe kind of the blockiness of this. This is kind of got these nice hard edge shapes going on here. And then running down from the eye socket, we have a little bit of a concavity. And then obviously there's, you know, a lot going on back here in terms of just kind of removing a lot of form. So we'll have to play with that and figure it all out. But yeah, we'll just kind of play around here in the beginning. It's not about going fast. It's actually the opposite. You want to take your time in these early stages and make sure that you're creating stuff, if accuracy is your goal, as accurately as you can. In this instance, I don't know if accuracy, I would say, is my goal. More so just trying to get that silhouette close. And then trying to find some more interesting shapes. So I'm probably gonna do these teeth separately. I'm trying to think how I want to do this. I think that's fine, maybe. Let's go. It's a little tough for me to see some of this stuff because I'm just kind of eyeballing it, so proportionally we're not going to be perfect, but really that's okay, especially for something like this. And let's try to get a little bit more length on this thing, on a little proboscis of sorts. And I don't know, we'll smooth some of this out, play with it. All right. So when I am working in these early stages, I know a lot of the stuff here in this sculpt is super clean. There's a lot of really clean forms going on up here in the skull and kind of everywhere else in our hands. It's just nice and clean. I like to keep stuff really clean. But in these early stages, I really just don't care. Trying to worry about how clean your mesh is in these early stages is just something that's going to slow you down and get in your way, and probably just make it really hard for you to move forward. So that's why I like to use Dynamesh. I know a lot of people like to use Sculptress Pro instead now that we have that, and I would love to use Sculptress Pro more, but I really like to use auto masking features a lot, and you can't use those with Sculptress Pro, so that's kind of why I stick with Dynamesh. Plus, Dynamesh isn't, you know, a super big hindrance or anything. It's never really caused me too many problems. I love using Dynamesh, but Sculptress Pro is great too. I'm just trying to, you know, use my pinch brush to find some planes right now and find some interesting breaks in the surface. So I don't want anything to feel unintentional, essentially. I want every shape that I create here to feel like I meant to put it there. So let's see. I think we could probably get quite a bit wider on a lot of this. So let's do that. It's kind of looking a bit anteatery right now. I don't know if anteatery is a word, but it is now. So let's widen this out. Let's try to go quite a bit more wide, quite a bit more blocky. And maybe try to taper this in a bit as well. So I can see this nice line. If we take our transpose line and draw that out, so we have this side of the head and then this just in a little bit, and a lot of that difference there, it looks a lot more deep than it actually is, and that's because of the eye socket, which I have intentionally kind of left round on purpose. It kind of looks a little bit angry over here, so maybe we can start to get some of that in, as well as just pull that shape out in general. And again, for those that are just joining us, because I see that there are more joining us now, welcome everybody. We're going to be creating kind of a stylized cartoony skull, similar in style to this one here, but more so of a buffalo skull, obviously, I would hope. And we're in the early stages of the blockout, my favorite part, because it's the most difficult and most important part of the entire process. Nothing past here will be good unless this stage is good. It's a lot of pressure. Let's see. I think I'm going to work a little bit more on my planes. And to do that, what I like to use, I think I already mentioned the pinch brush, but I'll be using the pinch brush a lot, as well as the trim brush. I think the trim dynamic one is a pretty good one if you guys are looking for a nice trim brush. And let's see, what do we got going on here? Having a little bit of trouble seeing with my light source right now, so I might adjust that in a moment. Let's do a quick slice. So I am using, the slice curve brush. This is one of my favorite brushes. But you can hold the Control and Shift key, come up here and click Slice Curve. And then when you are drawing out your slice, if you press the Alt key once, it'll draw out a nice little bendy curve for you. And if you press it twice, it'll do a nice hard turn there. So you can play around with that. There's lots of cool stuff that you can do. I am just trying to trim off some of this excess form here. I'm going to up the res on my Dynamesh. I'm just trying to find this shape. Try to get it a bit closer to what I'm seeing. So right now I'm pretty far off. Or before I was pretty far off. I'm getting closer now. I don't really have a great angle of view on that, but that's okay. We can make some of this up. It doesn't need to be exact because we will be eventually starting to stylize this more and more. And let's see here. And I do not consider myself a great concept artist at all. So normally when I do this kind of stuff, I like to do it nice and alone, no audience, take my time with it, but I don't mind showing you guys the process. Francisco, how you doing, man? Long time no see. How have you been? All right, let's see. How can we break up some of this? I don't really like this line in here that we've tightened up, so if we can start to transition that a bit earlier, and I think maybe just start to pull this out a bit more. Get a bit more angry eyes there. And let's get some horns on this because I think it's going to be a huge, huge part of the silhouette. So I'd like to get those in early if I can. I'd actually like to get some more depth up here as well. So I'm going to do that first. And then we'll get some horns on this guy. Never sculpted a buffalo before. I think that would be fun. When I was just learning how to sculpt, I was sculpting a ton of animals because they were much easier to do than people. Because I felt like there's a lot larger window for me to kind of mess some stuff up and people would be a little bit more forgiving. But I don't know if that, I mean, it doesn't really matter. It was great practice just to sculpt as much as I could. And now I love sculpting people. It's my favorite thing to sculpt. What I'm going to try here is to cut this off. I'm going to turn on double. I'm going to try cutting this off and pulling this little triangular piece down. I might want to do some of this as a separate mesh. I really don't want to sculpt a cavity in here too much, because typically trying to give something some thickness and then sculpt on it continually from there is not a great idea. Can get a little tough to work with, so we will wait to give a huge cavity there. I might push it in a little bit though. We shall see. Alright. So, to pull down on this area, gonna do a quick mask because I don't want all of this to come with it. Just a little bit on the top. And I think that this is going to be a really important shape for this, so I definitely want to get this in there. And just something quick is going to get the job done for now. And like I said, in terms of this little cavity here, if anything, we can just do like a little, just a little slide up there. Maybe a little bit more. I don't want to give the whole thing a cavity up in there. That'd be terrible to work on. Would not be fun. Happy to see you alive. Well, yes, of course. Doing some hard surface stuff for a change. Sounds like fun. How is the Mastering Appeal course going? Well, thanks for asking, man. It is going fantastic. We are in the somewhat second week. It's technically the first week right now. Technically. But there was some stuff happening before that for preparation. So it's going very well. Thank you, man. Thank you for asking. For those that are unfamiliar, I have a class that I run called the Mastering Appeal, which is a 7-week program. And you can find out more about that on my Gumroad if you're interested. Just gumroad.com/Follygon. And for those that were interested in getting into that, registration's closed right now, I should mention. For those that are interested in taking that, I will have more information on when the next session will be later on. I don't have a date nailed down right now because the class is going on right now, but after that's finished, I'll have some more info on when the next session will be. Alright, let's see. I do kind of like this shape back here, but I think I'm maybe getting a little bit too flat in some places, so if we can get some more volume, kind of match some of that, that's feeling quite a bit better. One step at a time, right? You don't want to rush anything during this stage. It's all about taking it nice and easy. Let's see. I'm not too worried about the backside here, but let's go ahead and grab our horns. There are many different ways to go about creating some horns. I will be using the Curve Tube Snap Brush, which is one of my favorite curve brushes, and I'll be using it in tandem with the stroke menu, curve modifier size. So stroke, curve modifiers, turn on size, and adjust your curve fall off to go from larger to smaller. Let's see what that looks like. That actually looks pretty close. Got it in one, I think. And now from here, let's try to match our basic shape, our most basic shape. Maybe a little bit bigger than that. I'm actually going to accept that, and then I'll manipulate the rest of it with my move brush and everything. So, actually, here. Just to make sure that that is following along that curve nicely. And grab that. And I'm just essentially nudging this stroke just a little bit because it was a little tangled up on top of the mesh, so it's just a little trick to get that to be a little bit more clean. So that looks pretty good for a good starting point. Now let's just continue to manipulate this. Typically what I like to do when I draw out a curved tube like this is delete a few of the edge loops just because it's a little bit too dense. So I like to do that using the Z Modeler brush with delete edge loop. And we'll just go through here and take care of that. And probably need to work on the taper here, but less polys, easier to kind of manipulate. So we'll go from there. So Francisco, you say you're working on some hard surface stuff for a change. What kind of stuff are we working on? Are we talking mechs? Are we talking furniture? What's the deal? What's going on? Because one is cool and one is not. And I think you know which one I'm talking about. Because furniture is where it's at. Furniture is the coolest thing to model. Alright, I think these need to curl up this direction a bit faster. And these are going to need to rotate forward. And let's just mess with this curve a bit more. And try to align these a bit better. I think I'm gonna scale these up. I think the horns are definitely going to be one of those places where exaggeration takes place. It's kind of one of the key elements of stylization, right? Exaggeration. So it's gonna be something that we need to play with for a while till we find something cool. And like I said, I think the length of this, like how much I stretch this is also going to be one of those elements. I'm just not sure how much I want to push that just yet. And I'm not really a fan of what I'm getting here on the profile. So that'll be something that we play with as well in time. And we might mess with a little bit of poly paint. I don't think we're there yet. I find that poly paint is really nice for helping to figure out proportions for certain shapes, but for something like this, I don't think it's going to help out too much. At least not right now. Alright, that's starting to feel pretty good. I kind of like that shape breakup and the exaggeration of that. And there's this really strong dip happening back behind the eye as it transitions into the horn. How shall we do this? So one thing that I like to do from time to time is do a temporary merge down of geometry so that I can blend between two objects. If we look at the horns or antlers, I guess they are horns, I think. There is kind of this bony transition, and then the calcinous. I don't know. What are horns and antlers and all that made out of? Isn't it the same stuff that hair and nails is made out of? I'm sure somebody in chat knows. Either way, there is a very distinct separation between these two forms, and that's going to be something that we want to include in there. Ashley, hello, hello. How are you doing? Welcome. Haven't done hard surface stuff for a while, so I'm just doing a simple photographic camera to try Substance Painter. Well, that sounds like a lot of fun, man. Cameras are pretty complex depending on what type of camera you're sculpting, or modeling, I guess. Well, that's pretty awesome, man. That sounds like a lot of fun. And playing around in Substance Painter is fun as well. I think we're going to try doing a little bit of inflate on these and then try to make this a bit bigger. But I see that we got a few more people joining us, so if you are just here for the first time, we're trying to do a little bit of a cartoony styled skull, similar in style, informed to what we have going on here. Obviously, more buffalo feel, but I think you get the idea. So, let me do a temp merge on our little horny antler things. And try to blend some of this out this way. I don't want to lose too much of this shape, so this also helps me realize where I need to make some changes. I'm going to give a little bit more room there. And we'll make it work. We'll make it. We'll figure it out. Keratin! Yes, that is it. Thank you, RoyalMan43. Appreciate it. Keratin. The things that your horns and antlers are made out of. Yes, isn't this just the cutest buffalo skull you've ever seen? I assume you're talking about this thing. Yeah, just a little doodle. I want to do something with this and try to take it a little bit further. But yeah, she's even got some nice dope bangs, which is what that haircut is called. It's called dope bangs. Let me try merging this and up in our Dynamesh res. So like I said, this is just a temp thing. I'll show you what I mean by that. I'm not actually permanently merging these. What I'm doing is just getting some of that on there to help transition that initial part. Plus I kind of want to blend this side quite a bit from what I can tell. I don't know. Play around. But we're getting close to the stage where I'm just going to hide these completely, and then we're going to try to find some cool shapes to continue stylizing this. So the first stage is, start with realism, try to find the major silhouette and forms that make up the buffalo skull, and then we have to push more in towards stylization. So that's the fun part, in my opinion. This is the hard part of just trying to match stuff accurately. But we're almost done, I think, in terms of the major shapes. Hands are really cool. Well, thanks. I actually have this as a brush over on my Gumroad. It's just an insert multi-mesh brush that I made because I got tired of sculpting hands from scratch. So I was like, yeah, let's make this a little brush. Whoop. And it does have subdivision levels on it, so quick little insert. Very nice to have. Also, the fingers are separated, so all of that's very easy to manipulate. So if you have a hand that's like really thick and you got these sausage fingers, but you want to start with something like this, it's still a good thing to start with, because you can just come through here and grab a finger and inflate each finger individually, or all of them at the same time. Inflate your hand, play around with it. Lots of good stuff that you can do with it. I love my little handy dandy handy brush. Because sculpting hands. I have both sculpted too many hands and not enough hands. Not enough hands to where I'm just amazing at sculpting hands, but too many hands to the point where I'm like, I don't want to sculpt hands anymore. I want to get more of a cavity up through here. I just don't know what that looks like because I don't have a lot to go off of. So we're just going to make it up and not really care about the rest. Because that's how we do. That's how we do here. Actually, I'm kind of a stickler for accuracy, so that's not entirely true. Save? Dude, I never save. Are you kidding me? That's what this is for, quick save. It does it automatically. And even if I do crash, it typically, 99% of the time will save. There are only specific instances on which it will not save on a crash. And that's when the software just like closes without warning, which is typically when I'm only dealing with very large poly counts or like really stupid geometry where I'm trying to Boolean like 20 different things at once. But even then, a lot of the time it works out. But I thank you. I thank you for looking out for me. That's very kind of you. Semper Nox. How you doing? Welcome. Let's see. Let's get a little bit more. A little bit more visually interesting through here. And I think we're probably at a point where I'd be comfortable hiding this and kind of playing around with what we got already. But I want to make a couple more changes to this area, and then we'll hide this and kind of go from there. Because I might actually just remove this entirely, or kind of change the basic shape. Because we have these negative cavities up here. This is obviously the nasal cavity. I think maybe we exaggerated this already too much. So let's do a quick little shrink. And in terms of a negative through here, I'm really quick just gonna do a... I couldn't even see it that time. That was weird. I'm not sure why that's being so weird. Here we go. So you can insert negative geometry to immediately subtract it. It's being a little bit weird there. I'm not sure what was going on. So we'll just do this the old-fashioned way. I still use Dynamesh Booleans even though live Boolean exists, especially when I'm still in Dynamesh, just because it's a lot faster and easier. There's kind of like this V shape going on here, from what I can tell. It's like very subtle, but it's enough where I want to get it in. Steven, dope haircut. Well, thanks. Appreciate it, man. Oh, this old mop? Let's see. Maybe, I think instead of removing, so I was gonna remove these two holes here, but instead of doing that, I think I'm just going to do the split that's in both of these. I think that's kind of a cooler shape. And I think graphically it'll look cooler, so here we go. So for those that know about live Boolean, but not the old school way of Boolean subtractions, with Dynamesh on, this used to be the only way that you could do this. You would turn on Dynamesh, have your one mesh, and your other one that you would set to subtractive, and then you would go to merge and merge those down, and then you just run Dynamesh again and it'll subtract the geometry from there. So that's kind of the old school way to do it, and like I said, I still do it this way all the time, because I find that it's just a nice kind of quick way to work. And in this case, it's just a nice way to get this basic shape pretty quick. I'll kind of play with this a bit more, but I think that's kind of a good starting point. All right, and let's shape this up. Get some more foam in here, because it's feeling very flat. And once we start getting more into figuring out exactly what we want for this, I have a feeling we're going to be tightening up a lot of these shapes quite a bit. I'm just trying to find some places where I can exaggerate some of these plane changes. And alright, let's hide our images. And now just start kind of playing around with proportions and different shapes. Trying to make something cool. So start with realism, like I said, as a good starting point. Obviously, you know, we're not super realistic with this already, but it's a really good starting point for us to kind of continue from here. What I do like about these images was kind of how angry those eyes looked. And I was like, oh, that's kind of fun. Let's like kind of bake that little bit of expression into this skull. So I think that would be something that we should try to exaggerate even more in the stylized version of this, or as we push it more towards kind of cartoony. Yeah, we'll play around with that. I did also like kind of how blocky some of these transitions felt. There's some cool stuff going on there. So I am going to try to exaggerate some of that stuff as well. Create some cool shapes. So this is the stage where, you know, things get fun, in my opinion, where you can just kind of experiment and fail a bunch and hopefully succeed once. It's kind of how I look at it. But yeah, it's a lot of fun to just kind of play around in the mud and see what you can come up with. I need to do some stuff up here. Let's see. Trying to just plane this out a little bit. Whoops. There we go. All right, in terms of angle, that feels... I like to avoid parallel lines as much as I can, and that also includes something like this where it feels like it's kind of following the ground plane. So even just like a little bit of tilt there, a lot of the time will help make that stuff feel more natural and not so stiff. But I'm gonna line these up a little bit better. Have I used Snapshot 3D to import an image and make it a mesh? Yes, I have. I have indeed. I actually have a tutorial over on my YouTube channel for how to use Snapshot 3D. Got to play with that a lot during the beta. It was a lot of fun. It's not something that I use a lot, though, just because in my process, in terms of hard surface modeling, a lot of what I do, I really want to keep polygonally clean, topologically clean. So I will typically do most simplistic hard surface stuff with my with the ZModeler brush. I really like the ZModeler brush a lot. But for anything that Doesn't require that level of cleanliness if I'm just trying to do something quick. I'll typically dynamesh a lot of stuff and use like a slice curve brush to plane out things really quick. So that's just my workflow, and that's because I've been doing it for years. And it's not that I don't like the tool set with Snapshot 3D, it's just that I'm kind of set in my ways, you could say. But yeah, it's a cool tool for sure. And I think a lot of hard surface artists use it quite a bit, just because it's so fast at kind of blocking stuff out pretty quick from just alphas, which is pretty cool, but not something that I really need in my toolset. I was trying to make this tighter and I somehow did the opposite. Perspective getting in my way. There we go. Close to what I want. I'm trying to tuck that in a little bit more. Proving difficult. There we go. That's not too bad. We'll stick with that. Found it good to make things like cogs. I could definitely see that for sure. Anything where you needed some kind of nice, clean radial symmetry, but quickly with hard surface stuff, yeah, I think that would be cool. The transpose guy. The transpose guy. It's him. The guy who uses that that transpose line. It's because the transpose line's awesome. I know a lot of people that like the transpose line. I could name exactly 0 people off the top of my head that use it. Well, one. Maybe one. Me. How do you smooth out the mask? There are a few ways to do that, Tidlon. But let me first try to fix this silhouette. Try to make that a little bit cooler. So when you have a mask, right, draw out your mask, there are a couple ways, and they are different. So under Tool, Masking, there is a button that says Blur Mask. I have a hotkey set up to this, so when you click this, it will blur the mask both directions, and what I mean by that is it will blur it towards the mask, and it will gradate the blur out towards the unmasked area as well. But if you use the default hotkey, which is just control tapping, it will only blur the mask towards the masked side. So I'll have to invert the mask and then control click a few more times to blur it the other way. So what I've done is I do use that still, and control alt clicking on your surface will sharpen a mask. So that's another hotkey for you. So what I've done is I've set up a hotkey for the actual blur mask feature, and that for me is just Control B, and it blurs both directions on the mask. So it's a little bit of a different interaction. I'm not sure why it's set up that way, but I have found instances where I do prefer only having it masked one direction on occasion. On more than a couple occasions. It's nice to have. I don't know if it was intentional, but I didn't even know about it. I didn't even know that they were different until maybe a couple years ago. So a lot of these shapes have some really sharp and hard lines on here. But these are all things that will be smoothed out later. It's just nice to kind of define your planes. Like I said, we want everything to, everything that we sculpt, we want it to be and feel intentional. We don't want anything that's like kind of a no man's land of, ooh, was that meant to be like that? It's kind of a little bit strange, but it can be strange and intentional still, so it just kind of depends. I'm gonna do a remesh on this here in a moment. So we can really start cleaning this guy up. Let's go ahead and do that next. So I'm going to use Zremesher. Target poly count, we'll just do the default. It might be a little bit too dense, but there's some complicated shapes on here, so we'll stick with 5K to start. I don't like transpose. Well, I have a great video over on my YouTube channel that shows all the cool hidden features and functionality of the transpose line. Stuff like inflate, or how you can do bend curve deformers directly with the transpose line. There's all sorts of other cool and hidden, not hidden, I mean it's in the documentation, but like clipping, you can clip meshes really fast. There's really just a ton of different stuff that you can do with it. But yeah, if you're interested in not hating the transpose line, there's a video on that. Alright, let's do some projection here. And clean this skull up. And I will only do a couple projections here because really we don't need more than that. So I'm pretty happy with that. Let's keep playing around with this shape. I want to also get our teeth in here, and maybe to stay within the same style, we can do something like these up here. Kind of these like a little bit doofy, blocky chiclet teeth. So I think we can maybe try to get something similar over here. Let's go back. But I'm going to clean up the mesh a little bit here first, now that I have subdivs. Ooh, and there is the crash. Luckily we did quick save, as well as we got a quick save off of that. So we are good to go. We will not lose anything from that. Give that a second to restart and blind me. Yes, F in chat, everybody. Pay your respects to ZBrush. Recovered Z tool. I think we should be good on that. I'm actually going to grab that quick save that I just did, because that will also include my character here. Boom. Why did you remesh and project? I'll show you right now. Now I have subdivision levels, and now it's a lot easier to manipulate my geometry, especially for larger form changes. So I am using my subdivs to my advantage for, one, kind of cleaning up my surface a little bit here, but also if I want to make a large form change, I can step down to a low subdivision level and make a change a lot easier than I could with just Dynamesh, high-res Dynamesh. This kind of feels very buggy down here, so we're gonna have to change that shape. And just like that, I've kind of gone through and done a quick little cleanup pass on this, and I think it's starting to feel a lot better, a lot nicer, a lot more clean, as long as our pen keeps working. I do really like a lot of this shape going up and through there, so I'm not really sure I want to exaggerate that per se, but if I can Draw a little bit more attention to it somehow. Something like that. Just so we got this line kind of flowing all the way through the skull here. I think that's pretty cool. Yeah, I think I like that for now. Yeah, hopefully that explained it well enough for you. But yes, if you're not using, I know some people that are new to sculpting, they hear about Dynamesh and then they kind of stick with that for a while. But, you know, Dynamesh is just kind of one tool and one step of the process, especially in the earlier stages. You kind of want to get out of Dynamesh if you're going to, unless you're just like really good at manipulating your form. If you've been sculpting for a really long time and you're comfortable just sticking in Dynamesh, by all means, like, stick in Dynamesh. Don't change because I'm saying so. I think it's just subdivision levels give you a level of control that you cannot get with Dynamesh. That's just kind of a fact. I do like that. I don't want to get kind of too hard surfacey here. So instead of exaggerating this kind of transition here, I'm going to try exaggerating the opposite, which will in turn draw some more attention up there. And like I said, this is the stage where we're experimenting, trying to find what works, what doesn't, exaggerate certain areas, knock back on other areas that we don't want to draw attention to. Just kind of stylize our form up. Try to make some cool shapes. I think we're getting there. Slowly but surely. It's kind of turning out pretty neat. Hopefully quick saves are on point. Always, dude. Always. I am the quick save king. We just had a crash and didn't lose a single second of work, which is pretty common for me. It's been a while since I've lost anything in ZBrush. Quite a while, actually. Doom! New haircut, looking good. Thanks, man. That's very kind of you. The ram from Destiny. No, I don't actually know what that is. I have played Destiny 2 though, and I still don't know what that is. No, this is just a buffalo skull that I am stylizing. So, unfortunately, I don't think I can roll back on the quick saves all the way back to a sphere. I cannot, but this will be uploaded later. So we just started with the sphere and started sculpting this up. And unfortunately we crashed, so I can't go all the way back to the sphere. I was gonna say something else, but we can't go back to the sphere. So we got, what else? What else we got here? What else we want to do with this to push this further? This is probably the point, or I'm going to fix this really quick because this feels really weird. And then I'm going to start pushing and pulling stuff really hard, which is where those subdivision levels will come in handy. So for this, I'm going to re-import, whoops, one of those images, this one. And let's see. Let's get this away from feeling so insect-like down here. And I think to do that, I'm going to pull up this ridge. Try to get something there. And I think I'm gonna try shortening this even more. Because if I'm going to lengthen that, I think I would prefer the exaggeration more so being on the entire thing rather than just like that bottom section, because that feels a bit awkward alone. And in the stylization of this skull, we could make this feel more like a mouth. This is supposed to be the nasal cavity. And there are teeth that go over yonder, back here. I'm actually gonna just import my other image as well, so we can see exactly where we want to put some of those teethers. Just kind of a quick row down here. Here, we'll do this. We'll do insert sphere, and I'll shape that up into a tooth here shortly. But I want to pull this in really hard through here. Yeah, that's fine. We'll just do this. I think I'm cool with that. Other than this transition feeling maybe a little awkward. See if I can fix that just a little. I don't think it's a huge deal though. Alright, so tooth. How are we gonna do a tooth? We could use a cube. Actually, a cube might be a little bit easier. I have a habit of Control S every small change I make due to bad memories back when using Maya. Yeah, you can just literally click quick save up here. In ZBrush, I actually highly recommend that people do not press Control S, because that by default saves your project. And unless you have a reason to save a project, you should not, in my opinion, because it bloats files. You should save a Z tool over here, tool save as. That is how I save files, and how I recommend other people to save their files as well. Saving ZBrush projects is, unless you know why you should be saving that way, you should not. How do you defuminate the mask border? I don't know what that means. I always make teeth from cubes. Well, look at this. Look at this. What are we doing? We got our cube. We're ready to go. Look, it was a mistake. All right, I admitted it. I just create everything from spheres, mostly everything from spheres. So, let's get a. Oh, you know what? No, I think I'm okay with this. I'm adding in some poly loops here to help retain the form a little bit more, and I'm literally just going to shape this up by hand. What do these teeth look like? These teeth look jank as hell. Here, let's they're the ones that have like, so there's obviously some taper, thicker at the bottom. I want to do less teeth, I think, for stylization, especially for something like this. Less is typically more. And it looks like a lot of them are almost split down the middle. In terms of scale, maybe a little bit smaller. And if I can, maybe wrap some of the bone up around this of the skull. Might be neat. Just so they're not, you know, poking out so ridiculously. And we'll get the basic position and then work on making each one a bit more unique. So in terms of number and scale, I think that'll be fine, but let's start kind of shaping these up. I am going to kind of keep these in a similar vein to the other teeth that I created. And then I am probably going to, I was thinking about adjusting the shape of the skull around these, but I think I'd prefer to kind of get the tooth like floating on top a little bit, just so I can get some interesting shape here. We'll play with it. Alright, let's play with a couple other things here. We are getting a little bit awkward up here towards the tip of the horn, which is causing, or antler, horn, whatever it is. It's causing some issues with that point. So I'm going to fix that. To kind of round that out. So I've just added in a couple extra edge loops up there, and actually I think I've done one too many. Essentially what I've done here is so that when that smooths out, it kind of retains that shape a little bit better. And I'm even going to scale this up. Whoops, let me turn off sim. Try that. Play with that a little bit more. I also want to work on the overall shape of these, because I haven't really manipulated them too much. Let's grab our move back face and get to work. Try to get a bit more gesture and Cool shape going on here. These point forward. It's kind of hard for me to tell what these are doing. Can you save undo history to ZTools? No, you cannot. So that's one of the reasons why you might want to save a project. But in all reality, why are you saving your undo history? The only reason that I ever save undo history is if I'm trying to make a time lapse where everything stands still, or even it doesn't have to stand still, where you're trying to use the movie F history recording feature. But I've never really needed to save undos for any other reason. Could I ask, yeah, ZTools are better to save than projects because they're about the 10th the size and they have everything else you need in them. If you save a bunch of, if you're new to ZBrush and you don't really understand how the software works, which is often the case, you end up saving a bunch of project files, and then you click up here and you have a billion ZTools in here that you were unaware of. Just because you've been saving a project and you got just tool after tool after tool after tool, and it really bloats the file. Whereas when you save a ZTool out and load that later, you load just the singular ZTool. So I have 2 ZTools in this project currently, but I'm never going to save this project. There's literally no reason to save a project when I have a ZTool with 3 subtools in it. There are many other reasons why you might want to save a project file, but that is one of the more common ones. Break one tooth, yes. We're not really at the stage where we would be worrying about details right now, but that would be cool to kind of add some more character to it, or a crack in the skull or something like that. When we're definitely past the blockout stage, but when you're in the refinement stage, essentially what you're trying to do is really solidify what you're trying to create. At least for something like this where we're concepting it, and we're not trying to push as fast as we can into detail range, because what happens is if you try to work on a detail right now and try to add a crack in a tooth, well, later on if I want to change the shape of the teeth, it's going to be really counterproductive for me to waste time creating a crack in a tooth only to change the major form of the tooth later and have to resculpt in or remodel a crack in said tooth. So we are kind of in the refinement stage of things right now. So right now I'm more so focused on taking what I already have and building upon that without trying to ruin what I've already created up to this point. So it's always fun to do stuff like that. You want to, often it is the case that it's really fun. You want to rush ahead and, oh, that would be cool, cracking the tooth. I agree. But all in good time. All in good time. I don't really like that too much from the profile. Let's go a bit more forward. Not sure why that happened. On that rotate, that was a little weird. It's okay. Something might have been masked ever so slightly down there. No worry. Liking that direction a bit more. Starting to feel a little bit better. Yeah, I can dig it. Play with these a bit more too. I'm actually just going to subdivide these and dynamesh them, because I'd like to start adding some asim here to the actual shape of the tube, to each individual tube. Kind of play with that a bit more. I'll work on that shape more here in a bit. Let's go back to our skull and our teeth for a little bit. No. Project files are not any less stable, but you can get to a point where the file becomes so bloated that your machine won't be able to open it anymore. Whereas with the Z tool, I've only had that happen on files that are in the hundreds of millions. Hello from Paris. What's going on? Ghost? You got a couple other ones in there that I wasn't even going to attempt to pronounce, but welcome. How is Paris? Z-tools might be more stable. ZBrush crashes while saving. Yeah, like I said, if you have a really bloated file, that's also possible. Or a lot of undos. Or if you just crash while you're saving for, you know, a million other reasons. Yeah, there's definitely reasons why something like that could happen. I don't really like the shape up here too much, which is one of the reasons why I did this. And I don't really like the hard cutoff transition that we have right now because it's so boring and flat. So we definitely want to add some visual interest to a lot of these different parts as well. How do you switch so fast like that for polygon density? I'm not sure what you're talking about. I'm not sure what I did. Maybe you could say that a little bit, word it a little bit differently. I might better understand. Polygon density. Are you just talking about subdivision levels? The hotkey for that is D and Shift D to step up and down through your subdivs. I don't know if that's what you mean. Hot witch is weird. I don't know what hot witch is. Is it like a hot sandwich? Based on your spelling of witch, I'm gonna guess not. Alright, I kind of like that a little bit more. Just to get away from, again, more parallels, I'm going to steal some poly paint colors from this. And let's just do a quick sample on those and grab our paint material. And how are we doing on time? We got like 45 minutes, so I don't know, I think we're doing pretty good. We should have more than enough time to finish this up. And maybe work on a little something extra at the end. It started to bleed over a little bit in some areas, but that's okay. I'll just paint that out real fast. Let me see. Can't really see, oh, I can't really see where my edge is that well. That's why polypaint can sometimes get in the way. But yeah, let's apply some more colors here. It's kind of a base skull color there, and for this, we'll try some kind of brown. Let's see. Can't remember. Yeah, we'll keep that the same, I think. I'll need to mess with the teeth more to find something a little bit more interesting, but I think that's fine for now. Let's see. Do you think Zremesher is Zremesher animation ready if you combine it with Zremesher guides? No, absolutely not. Nor is that what its purpose is for. That is not its intention at all. It is an amazing tool. I love Zremesher. I use it every day in my workflow, but it is not for creating animation-ready topology. The purpose of, like, what is animation-ready topology? Animation-ready topology is specific to every instance. So, for instance, if you need a character's elbow to bend in a specific way, you need topology that supports that form, no matter what that ends up being. It could be an arm, it could be a leg, it could be a joint on a robot, on a mech. It's always going to be different, and it's not going to be, there's not going to be an automatic tool that's going to get that, perfect for animation, exactly the way you need it. Maybe in the future we'll have something that can do that automatically, but right now, as far as I see it, automatic animation-ready topology is very far off. Be nice, though. Be nice to have. It would make a lot of people very, very happy. Yes, now that I'm saving, there's no way I could lose my work immediately crash. Yeah, give me just 1 second. You're trying to save that file? I think it's time for a power outage. What material am I using? I'm using the ZBrush paint. I think the Skin Shade 4 down here under standard materials, Skin Shade 4 is also a great material. I just like the ZBrush paint just a tad more for trying to do simplistic blockout colors like this. But I was sculpting the entire time. If you're referring to this material, this was just my personal clay material. This is my Follygon clay that I use. Let's see. I'm new to ZBrush. Totally new to digital sculpting. Any tips and tricks or tutorials for extremely new people starting out instead of going through tedious books or long videos? Yeah, man, I got a ton of stuff for free over on my YouTube channel. If your objective is to get up and running in ZBrush as quick as possible in terms of software, in terms of just like learning the ropes of the tool, then I highly recommend my How to ZBrush Quick Start Guide, which is available over on my Gumroad. It's $15 and includes all the stuff that you need to know to get up and running in ZBrush. That's why I made it. I made it for people just like you that are new to ZBrush and want to learn the ropes as quick as possible. The first major hump in ZBrush is the software, because it takes people, a little bit of time to get used to it. There's a lot of differences to ZBrush than, what you might expect from a lot of other softwares. But once you kind of get in and actually learn it and start playing with it more and more, it kind of starts to work and you get used to it pretty quick. But that's the first major hump. And then the second major hump, the thing that you mentioned, sculpting, that's the hard one. That one takes a lot longer. And I have other courses and tutorials and stuff that maybe you can check out after. But I always recommend people to my YouTube channel. I have a ton of free stuff over there for, you know, people of all skill levels. And there's tons of creators here on the Pixelogic live stream channel here. That I'm not the only person that streams here. Tons of people. Tons of people stream here. So definitely check everybody else out as well. I'm beautiful. Of course, of course. Happy to help. When you're projecting, do you usually do it on all these subdivs? It depends. It depends what it is. So, I don't know. Whoa, I did not mean to do that. Here. So if I... Okay, so this is a Dynamesh model, right? It's all Dynamesh right now, no subdivs. And I'll delete this. This is just a test piece, okay? So here we have this. So what I typically do for my Zremesher projection process is I start with a Zremesh. So I let it do its thing, and I'm just doing 1K right now just for, it doesn't matter. Just let it go, let it do its thing. And then what I like to do after it's done is throughout each part of the process of subdividing, I do a projection. So not necessarily all of them, but I don't subdivide all the way up to the top and then project, because that is a bad way to do projection. The reason why that is bad is because when you subdivide a piece of geometry, and I made this low poly on purpose, I'll make it even lower poly just to really hit this home for you guys. When you subdivide something or smooth it out, it actually gets smaller. It actually shrinks a little bit. So if I were to subdivide this a few times and then even step back and delete higher, it keeps getting smaller every time I do this. So it's actually shrinking in on itself. And that continues to happen. So for each subdivision level. As well as Zremeshing. Zremeshing will shrink your geometry a little bit. Just a little bit. Each one of these things is just like ever so slightly. So what you want to do is you want to subdivide once, then project. And it'll project as much as it can at this level. And you can see that I'm already getting some projection errors because it's not, you know, fitting this very well because I made it super low poly on purpose just to kind of reiterate this point. I'll step back to the 1K Zremesh. So this fits this shape quite a bit better. So even if I were to do it on this, I would want to subdivide once, project, subdivide once, project. And at this point, you know, I have most of the shapes in there, so I could probably subdivide again and not project. So sometimes I won't subdivide, or I won't project on the last subdivision level, but you know, for this, it doesn't really matter. And you can see that it's probably not going to change that much. So I'll undo and redo, so you can see what the difference on the projection was. It's really not that big of a deal. So sometimes on that last one it doesn't matter, but that's the whole kind of quick rundown on the process. Hopefully that made sense. Hopefully I didn't go too fast. Let me know if you have any questions. Need to balance work and this, of course. Thanks in advance, and love from Pakistan. I'm glad to have you here. Glad to have you here, Raman. I'm probably mispronouncing that. I'm gonna say it's ramen, like my favorite noodle. Welcome, ramen. And I'm not talking that microwave stuff. I'm talking the real deal. The real deal's good stuff. I would like to play with these teeth more, but, you know, for now, just some simple variation, I think will be okay. And I'm going to leave everything symmetrical on this because I'm still wanting to change quite a few different things. But in terms of creating our fun little stylized buffalo skull, really I'm kind of fine with calling it done here. I would be happy to play and experiment and push things more and more. So if we really wanted to try finding some cool shapes, I would probably go into Transpose Master and start playing around more here. If we like really wanted to try exaggerating like the narrowing of this shape, I think that's kind of cool. So it's just fun to play around and experiment with this stuff and see what works, what doesn't, what starts to break down. It's kind of interesting. But I think we'll just kind of call it done unless anybody has specific questions towards anything. We can address those. But I would like to move on to something else, if that is not the case. We will check real quick. Absolutely, Semper. Happy to help, man. Never got to experience ramen. Yeah, you don't want the you don't want that microwave stuff or in the pot at home stuff. You want the authentic stuff. Microwave noodles are approved in your book. It's a dirty book. You need a new book, Francisco. Did I miss anything else? I don't think so. Ramen's amazing. Hey, I'm not saying ramen's not amazing. I'm just saying Francisco's book is a little tattered, a little rough around the edges. Okay, cool. I don't think I missed anything else. So, yeah, for those that are kind of just joining us a little bit late, I'll kind of reiterate what we've gone through thus far. We have about a half hour left, and I have an idea of what we're going to do for the last half hour. So this is a character that I kind of sketched up and just kind of played around with, and I'm still playing around with. I don't know what I'm going to do with this. Probably take it a little bit further, work more on the costume, and figure out exactly what I want to do here. I would like to create kind of like this bone sword or something for this character. I've started blocking this out, but it's very rough right now, and it needs a lot of fixing and changing of quite a few different things. But I thought it would be cool tonight if we took something from scratch. We just started with a sphere tonight and made something in a similar style to this this skull here. So I had a lot of fun creating this, and this is what we ended up doing. So kind of a stylized buffalo skull, nothing too crazy. I think there's a lot of room here for kind of pushing and improving this, but in terms of kind of a first pass, I think this is a good place to kind of put a pin in this and maybe continue on it later. So I will save this out as a Z tool. And we'll call you, what's this guy's name? Buff Bill? I mean, that's like the obvious, right? Sure, we'll call him Buff Bill. If anybody else has a better name, please speak now and we'll change it. All right. Yeah, so we have like half an hour left where I'm just available for you guys to do questions and anything else. And while you guys are possibly asking some questions or just hanging out, we are going to sculpt this derpy little Goomba that I found because he's adorable. And yeah, that's about it. that's the extent of my thought process on that. And he's fun. We'll try to make him fun in 3D too. Buff Arnold. Buff Arnold? Alright. Buff Arnold. Buff Arnold. I like it. Just like, see the... What is his... What's his, like, debut movie? Predator? I don't know. Alright, so let's start with another sphere. Our good pal the sphere and a polymesh 3D. And make sure we're good to go on this. And yeah, here we go, Goombert time. Let's see what we can do. I'm actually going to use radial symmetry ever so slightly on this in the beginning. And I mean literally for like 2 seconds. Let's just start playing around with the shape. And I will Dynamesh this as well, probably a bit lower if I can. One Goombert coming up. As derpy as humanly possible, please. How about you do a critique on the new Sonic movie model? He's got some uncanniness going on for sure. I actually haven't looked at him too specifically, but that would be fun to do. I don't know if we would have enough time for me to look at that. I would need to gather some decent images of it. I very quickly saw the trailer. My initial reaction was that I thought, hey, you know what, this isn't as bad as everybody's saying. It's not that bad, but the face is where things definitely start to take a turn. And those long, sexy Sonic legs, which is the only way we could possibly describe them, right? Yeah, there's quite a few things. Maybe that's something that I can do in the future, though. In-depth analysis, yeah, something like that. I don't know if we want that kind of depth on Sonic. Here, I'll make a note. I'll make a note too. Sonic in-depth analysis. I like it. It's a horror movie. All you have to do is change the background music, and you have a horror movie, right? And I guarantee there's going to be just about 1 million different memes of poor little Sonic the Hedgehog getting dunked on. I mean, here. Oh wait, where is it? 1 second. Just going to the twitter.com/Follygon for this. This is my idea of the new Sonic. This is what I thought. I thought, you know, hey, if they can do it, you know, I can make something pretty beautiful pretty quick too. And I think mine's honestly a little bit better if I'm being humble. This monstrosity. Sonic's a furry? I mean, yeah, essentially, right? Isn't that what the Sonic fandom is, if I'm not mistaken? Maybe not. Let me do an inflate on this. I'm trying to like square it out more. There we go. That's more of what I was looking for. Alright, let's give him a derpy little face before we move on to the toes. He needs to wrap a little bit more underneath too. I refuse to look at real references of what actual Goombas look like when I have this amazing concept in front of me. I mean, really, there's little need for additional reference when you have something like this. Alright, let's stick with kind of that shape there. And let's also get some color on this guy, I guess. I am a very, very serious artist. I only do serious artwork. And next up is Sonic. Beautiful. Alright, your eyes need to be lower on your head for extra derpiness. Ah, yeah, there we go. We're getting there. I think the eyes need to be closer together too. Alright. I don't understand how you're adding balls, and what is the resolution you put in each of them? I literally don't care about resolution of anything. I don't care about the number of polygons. It does not matter. I'm using an insert multi-mesh primitive brush to apply spheres. And that's about it. Any news about the upcoming Peel UV plugin? You are asking the wrong person, my friend. I have no insider information on the Peel UV plugin, and even if I did, I probably would not be the person to reveal it. As far as I know, it's being worked on. Is Batman a furry? Now that's a question that's gonna keep me up late at night. I totally missed the kissable lips comment about Sonic earlier. My bad. Yeah, Jim Carrey's gonna be Dr. Eggman. I saw. It's gonna be great. Here, who was it? Ghost. Ghost was asking, or no, wait, no. Lewis, you were asking about how I was adding geometry? Here. So I'm gonna add these feet down here. So I'm gonna duplicate my body, this little thing down here, and I'm going to grab an IMM primitive brush. I'll even use the default one. So IMM primitives. There should be a tray that pops up on your screen, but if not, you can press the M key. I'm just grabbing an insert sphere. And I'm gonna put this on here, but it's gonna give me an error. Oh, the mesh is composed of multiple subdivisions. That's okay. Scroll on down, delete lower, scroll back up, feet, Control-Shift-Click, geometry, modify topology, delete hidden, which is where this button is located. Click delete hidden. Voila, we did it. We now have feet. We now have little Goombert feet that are maybe a little bit too big. Who's to say? I guess me. I like tucked up under him a bit more. I think we just make him a bit more flat. And for the mouth, I don't think I'll sculpt it, at least right now. Just doing a quick little tube of geometry here. Very fast. Oh, maybe our eyes got a little bit too off. I was kind of trying to offset them for extra derpiness, but maybe a little bit too far away from the concept. And then a couple things of teeth. Oh no, trying to do them fast, but that's okay. I think we're fine on time. Beautiful. Our Goombert is almost complete. As I have transcended all artists on planet Earth and created maybe something that just might be in the Louvre right within the next year. I'll be starting the bid at maybe, what do you guys think? 1, 2 billion? I don't know. This is like my magnum opus right here. $100 billion. Something wrong with my camera? Oh no. Well, hopefully it's fine. Looks like it's working on my end. Hopefully it's not frozen for you guys. Let me know if you're still experiencing problems. It might have been lagging or something. I don't know. But 100 billion, wow, we're shooting for the top. All money on planet Earth. I really just don't see a way that we could create better art. I mean, I think we've done it. I think we've transcended. Majestic? Yes. Thank you, Senpa. It's kind of my best work ever. You know, he's got the derpiness to him, but he's just too uniform. So he needs to be a little misshapen. He's too perfect. So we need to de-perfectify him. He needs to be a bit more lump, a bit more LSP. There we go. It's like he got hit on the head a little bit. A hat? Give him a hat? Oh, we could absolutely give him a hat. But what kind? A Mario hat? Or a, what's the, what was the Peachette meme? What was the crown? It was like the peach crown that turns all the Mario characters into a sexy princess. What was that? We need that. We need more. Sim. Boom. There we go. Nice and asymmetrical in just about every direction. $200 billion now. We're raising the stakes. The entire planet. Yes. Now we're talking. That's not what I wanted. Reflective, probably not. Probably a bad idea. I'm not sure why these materials are freaking out on me. It's like my material. Huh, well, there we go. Really don't know what was going on there for a second. Being weird. I was applying a material to one object, but it was also applying it to another, even though it already had a material applied. So that's weird. But, alright, what did we say? A hat? Who was saying the hat? Semper? Let's see, we got 15 minutes. What kind of hat can we create in 15 minutes for our little Goomba boy? This is my son. Guys, if I'm going to clothe my son, it needs to be respectfully with a beautiful, beautiful hat. What kind of hat we thinking? It's a me. Please kill me. This poor creature that we have bespoke life into. Oh, you know what? In the games, there is a Goomba that wears a hat in Super Mario Odyssey. Or no, wait, that's gonna give me Goomba wearing hat. We could do the Mario one. Like, we could just straight up give him a mustachio and the hat. It's not a bad idea. In the game, yeah, there's like, okay, so there's the Lady Goomba. But some of them wear hats, I remember. And you have to like hit them twice. I feel like I'm gonna find some weird stuff on Google Images, such as this. Google Images is a scary, scary place to go. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we'll do like a Mario hat. Start doing a Mario hat. French hat. I don't know what a French hat is. No. No, I will not give my child a fedora. Abraham Gumbo. You mean a Lincoln? A Lincoln hat? Let's try. Let's try for the Mario hat, so we can at least keep it in universe. Let's see. Trying to look up a quick shape profile for the Mario hat. And obviously we don't want to match it very well, because that would completely go against everything that we've worked to create here. But I'll get like the quick basic shape. Risky link click. That's boina inglesa. That's like a English boina. That is a kind of like a golfer's hat, golfing hat. Could give him a deer stalker. No, I think we're just gonna go Murillo. Straight up Murillo hat. But we will have to hurry. So we're running out of time. Whoa. So for the hat bill, I'm just gonna create a tube and use backface masking to stretch and pull that out like that. The pressure's on. Here. Where'd my little Murillo hat go? This guy. Beautiful. There we go. I wanted to sample this color for the most part. Find a nice red. It might be a little too saturated for my child. I am going to name my first son after my magnum opus. Goombert. Do a quick Zremesh. Let's see. Spread some JoJo love. I was watching JoJo's Bizarre Adventure for a while, but then I just kind of stopped. It just got, not that it got too ridiculous, it just got too kind of predictable with, not like, obviously it does crazy things, but it's just like, will they defeat the bad guy? Yes, of course they will, every time, the exact same way. Will they wander off by themselves to be attacked by the bad guy alone, where they could have easily just stayed with their friends? Yeah, of course. It's very cliche in that regard. Which, I mean, what can I expect, right? What am I doing? I'm trying to get in here and clean stuff, but I'm like, we don't have time for that. We don't have time for cleanliness with Goombert. We gotta hurry. How do I M? Here. We gotta fix the hat into more of a atrocity. No symmetrical shapes allowed. Not on my child. Pamela. Pamela said earlier, funny face, and then she retconned it with, I mean the sculpt. That's okay. I knew what you meant, and even if you meant my face, that's okay too. It's not too unfunny, right? Of course I reached the stands. Yeah, I was in like the 3rd or 4th season, so I was pretty far into it. I just slowly dwindled off. There were better things I could do with my time. Alright, there we go. Just a little bit more lumpy dumpy. This is a very technical term. Don't question my Goomba authority. I'm obviously the leading expert on Goombas. Yeah, I think I will actually extract this. I think it'll be... I'd rather have this be 3D. Keep groups, that is what I want. Boom. All right. Now this is way too perfect, so we gotta lumpify this as well. Lumpify everything, please. And for the M, I think I'm gonna do the exact same thing. Actually, the lumpier and dumber the M, the better. So I might just leave that. Dumber? Is dumber a word? I don't think it is. More dumb? Let's go with that. Alright. Perfect. Couldn't be better. Alright. Let's do the same thing. This is made with just so much care and precision. I mean, could it be better? I don't think so. I'll be honest. I really don't think it could. Jose, what's up? Hello and welcome. How are you doing, man? Glad to have you here. Let's see. Let's do a quick remesh on our little Goomba hat here. Sure. We'll do a quick keep groups. We are about 5 minutes away from being out of time, so we've very quickly sculpted a beautiful, beautiful little Goomba. I'll show off what else we've done during our stream. We've done, obviously, more than this. This was something we did within the last 10 minutes very quickly. Only if Zremesher would hurry up, but I think I'm just going to click escape and say screw it, doesn't matter. But yeah, let me show you guys what else we've done for those that are just joining us to check out my magnum opus, my beautiful child, my best friend, Goombert. So at the beginning of the stream, if you guys didn't see, this is a character that I've kind of been sketching on and playing around with and trying to figure out exactly what I wanted to do with this. This is in the very early stages of figuring out the character and costume. I want to work on the costume a lot more, but it was just something fun. I don't really know what I'm going to do with it. I do know I want to sculpt the weapon, which is what I just hid. I want to do some kind of like bone sword or something. But tonight I thought it would be cool if we sculpted something for the like skull shape thing up here. Something in a similar style, similar vein. So we took a sphere and we sculpted up a little stylized buffalo skull from scratch. So if you guys are interested in checking out the process, this will be uploaded over on YouTube here within probably the next few days at the most. So definitely be on the lookout for that for those that joined us a little bit late and want to see that and follow along. And then within the last 10 minutes, we did we did this. We did a little Goombert here. Here, I'll toggle on all of our beautiful creations, but obviously there is one that just reigns supreme above all the others, and it's obviously Goombert. But yeah, here. Drop a few of these on the canvas. Boom. Cool. Well, we're pretty much out of time, but if anybody has any last-minute questions or anything like that, I would be happy to answer all I can as I slowly add little Goomberts everywhere to our scene, because really, we all need more Goomberts in our life. Okay. Burp. Yes, he's amazing. I love him. Love your first lecture, by the way. Jose, that's right. Jose is in my my Mastering Appeal class. Love the first lecture. Well, fantastic, man. I've also shared the feedback with you on the concepts and everything else, and you sent me the block out as well, the homework. So awesome, man. That's very nice to hear. Pamela says, congratulations on your new child. Yes, I am a father today. A very proud day for myself. I find simple botched designs like this to have the most personality, says Kamugi. Absolutely. But I'm sorry, botched? I think you mean perfect is what you meant to say. Learned some quick few tricks and it was fun. Awesome, Semper. Glad to have you here, man. Appreciate it. Have a great day. You guys have a great day as well. But yeah, that's going to be it for tonight, guys. I'm not seeing any additional questions. So that is where we will end it. Again, if you guys want to check out more of my stuff, just Google Follygon and you'll find all my things. I'll very quickly share a link to my Gumroad in chat for you guys if you've never checked it out before. If it posts, there we go. Where I have all my brushes, materials, base meshes, as well as some educational content if you guys are interested in checking out some of that stuff. If you guys are interested in learning on how to become a master sculptor, like myself and Goombert here, then I think you should check it out. All right, that's gonna be it for tonight, guys. I will see you in a little bit longer than normal. I mentioned at the beginning of the stream, I'm not gonna be streaming in the month of May. I'm taking a little bit of a break from streaming here so that I can focus on my new course, Mastering Appeal, which I mentioned earlier. And that will be having more registration later, but I'm in the first term of that right now, and we'll be doing more sessions, opening up registration at a later date. I'll have more info on that later. But yeah, I will see you guys over on my YouTube channel within the next month for sure. And then after I come back for June, more than likely, I'll be streaming here probably around the same day, same time. So be on the lookout for that. You guys have a fantastic rest of your night. And I want to see some more masterful, beautiful creations like my Goombert here as well. A well-deserved break to focus on you. Well, thank you, man. That's very nice of you. With an appropriate name, Drainer. Ciao, Pamela. Have a great night. And Argentina. Well, I hope you have I don't know what time it is in Argentina. I would assume it's night. But awesome. I will see you guys next time. Toodles.